Hey, before I dive into the video, I have to say thank you so much to our brand new Patreon supporters, Jeff Fortier and Randy Treadwell. Thank you guys for your support and welcome to the family. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan. I'm excited to be with you today. Today we're going to be listing off what I think are some great options for gifts for Christmas when it comes to whiskey. So you got somebody, you want to get them a nice whiskey for Christmas. Hey, sometimes it's not about getting something that's super rare or a major collectible item. Most people just want a whiskey that's good enough to drink. It's that simple. And I'm going to give you plenty of options today for whiskeys that are really good sippers that anyone would be happy to have on their shelves. So I'm going to start on the lower price point and we'll climb to the higher price point for the conclusion of the video. So depending on where you are in terms of a budget, you'll have plenty of options to choose from. Now, first up on my list is going to be Bardstown Bourbon Company's Origin Series. These are actually 3 different bottles you can choose from with varying price points. Now, it is pretty unanimous in the whiskey community right now. People are pleased with Bardstown Bourbon Company's Origin Series. This is their own juice, their own distillate, so they're not sourcing from anybody else. And there are 3 different bottles in the lineup. You have the white label, which gives you a nice combination of sweet and spicy, right? Sweet and peppery. It's going to come in at $45. You have the black label, which is my personal favorite of the series. The black label is a wheated bourbon. It's going to give you a lot of those like charred caramel, toasted caramel notes. And that's going to cost you about $50. Last but not least is the green label, which is their rye whiskey. It's going to give you some mellow yellow fruits and a little bit of pepper as well. And that one's going to run you $70 a bottle. But Bardstown Bourbon Company Origin Series, all of these bottles are fantastic and anyone would be happy to have them on their shelf. The bottling is good, it looks good, it's a nice presentation, which I think matters in a Christmas gift as well, and it's also very drinkable stuff. So, first thing on the list, Bardstown Origin Series. Next up is a bottle from Old Forester. This is their Whiskey Row series. This one is the 1910. Old Forester 1910. The thing I like about this bottle is that it's so drinkable and very approachable. The bottling is very clean. It's going to look nice on the shelf, but it's also not like a super high proof point that's going to blow out your palate. It comes in at a comfortable 93 proof. So what they do with the 1910 is they take their bourbon and then they re-barrel it into a second barrel, which is heavily charred. And so this, not high in proof, very sippable, very drinkable, but it gives you a lot of like burnt sugar, brown sugar notes, and a lot of heavy oak. So it's a great drink, has just tons of flavor to it. So it's definitely going to be an experience to sip on. Old Forester 1910. And the price point on this, I should also mention, this is going to run you about $55. So pretty approachable in that regard too. Next up on the list is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Series. This is actually a private barrel, but it's going to be basically the same bottle. I already killed my barrel proof, so I don't have that bottle laying around, but it's basically the same bottle, just a different little label here. But the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Series, they just released the C923 batch, pretty recently, so it's going to be out there and on shelves. Now, the thing that I like about the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C923 is that it is, by all accounts, an absolute banger product. It is delicious. It gives you those sweet caramels and those vanillas, everything you could want out of a bourbon, but at a higher proof point with plenty of age on it and a pretty approachable price tag for the product itself. It's going to run you about $75. So $75 bottle that anyone would be very happy to have on their shelves because this is one of the most the highest rated batches that we've had in years from the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Series. And when you consider that there have been not so great batches for $75, and then you've got this one, which is a phenomenal batch for $75, it feels like you're getting a really good deal there. Now for the next bottle, we're actually gonna hop across the ocean over to Scotland, and I'm gonna make a recommendation for those of you who maybe you wanna get them something that's not just bourbon or rye. Maybe you have somebody who really likes Scotch. What I'm going to make as a recommendation is actually going to be Glendronach 15 Year. I recently killed my bottle of Glendronach, so I can't show it to you, but this is a picture of Glendronach and what it looks like. This is one of my favorite scotches. I tend to really appreciate heavily peated scotches from Islay, but when I'm not in the mood for that and I want something that's more approachable, more palatable, more fruity, I go with Glendronach. The 15 year is a great offering. It does come in at $90 for the suggested retail price, so that's probably what you're going to find it for. So it's not super cheap. We're starting to climb a little bit up there in price, but the thing that they do is they finish it in sherry casks, which is a fortified wine. So it's going to give it a lot of these nice, delicate, fruity notes, as well as giving you those chocolates and pound cake notes that you often get from a scotch. So much more palatable, much more approachable. It's a Highlands Scotch, East Highlands Scotch, and just full of great flavors. Highly recommend it. If you think, man, I kind of want to do that one, but I don't want to spend 90 bucks. Hey, You could also spend $50, $45, $50 for the 12-year version of that same product. So you can kind of dial it back if you want. It won't be as robust, it won't be as flavor forward, but it will be very good stuff. I think that the 12-year is still plenty good and half the price. Now the last bottle I'm going to recommend is one that I don't have this year's yet, so I can't show it to you. I've had previous expressions, previous acts is what they call them, of the Midwinter Nights Dram. This comes from the High West Distillery, out west. Although I suppose if you're in California, it could be east. But anyways, neither here nor there. They release every year Midwinter Nights Dram, which is a rye that they finish in like French oak barrels and port barrels, so you get these nice fruity complements and lots of tannic oak accompanying that rye flavor. Now the reason I mention it is because historically it has been really good. It went through a bit of a lull where people were starting to kind of hop off the train. But this year they came back with another expression. This is $150 though, so this is like upper end of the price range. But this year they've made the bottle more available. I think they distributed like almost 190,000 bottles. So there's a lot of bottles out there to grab, and I'm probably going to grab one myself. But the bottling on this is beautiful. The presentation is great. It's a bit of a collectible item nonetheless. And the reports this year, again, I can't speak to this personally. I have loved previous expressions. I'm told this year's is starting to bring it back around in terms of the quality. So I don't think it's going to be like something that's going to blow anybody's brains, but I am told that it is pretty solid and it is a return to the standard that they sort of set with this product. So I think that this is something that someone would be excited to open up, right? This is something that has history, has some rich heritage to it. It's going to be a little bit more adventurous on the palate. It's going to be a beautiful bottle people are going to want to have on their shelf to display to people as well. And since it is now more available, it should be easier for you to get your hands on a bottle of it. Beyond that, it is also a bit of a holiday bottle. It's always released around this time each year, so it does make a good Christmas gift in that regard too. And the whole idea behind it is that it's supposed to be a really good pour for a cold night, cozy up by the fire, and so for that reason, I put it on the list. I would be happy to get one of these for Christmas as a whiskey enthusiast, you know what I mean? And everywhere in between, I think you would be happy to have one of these on Christmas Day. So there you have it. That is my list. You know what I should include? I'm just going to say it. I know some people might be like, oh, come on. I gotta say it. Whiskey people like to get Buffalo Trace products too. You know, they just do. Some of them will tell you that they don't, but they'll be happy to have it on their shelf because everyone always asks. They come over and I've got great whiskeys on my shelf and they always ask, yo, do you have any Buffalo Trace in there? I'm like, bro, come on, I got some like an 18-year-old whistle pig down here. I got some delicious stuff on this shelf, and you asking me about Buffalo Trace, they're always going to ask. So people will be happy to have Buffalo Trace. I keep the Blantons there front and center. You can see it's almost full. I barely ever drink from it, but people come over and they want to know, where's the Buffalo Trace? I say, okay, well, there's my Weller, there's my Blantons, you know what I mean? So if you can find a bottle of like E.H. Taylor, that makes a great Christmas present because the presentation is nice in that, you know, that almost like, I think of like tanned hide yellow, that yellowish tan that you would see from like a tanned animal skin or whatever. That currently E.H. Taylor stuff, hey, that's going to go over very well. And some of your smaller shops are going to start to stock those, you know, as you get closer to Christmas. Even my local liquor store, which rarely has great selection, even they have a day where they put out Buffalo Trace stuff before Christmas. So your chances are maybe a little bit better right now. So keep your ear to the ground, get on the Facebook groups, and see when things are getting shelved, and people will let you know, they'll inform you. So there you have it. That is my list of things that would make, I think, great Christmas presents this year for your whiskey drinkers out there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to leave a like on it, and let me know in the comments section if I missed anything that you think would make a great Christmas present. Hey, big shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for your support. We did add a brand new tier to the Patreon, and that is just $1 a month. So if you want to get in there and you want to support the channel, feel free to do that. I'll leave a link in the description. Make sure you join our Discord as well. So our Discord is open to everybody, and we have a private Patreon lounge for Patreon supporters. And we got some fun stuff coming up, like potentially a whiskey and poker night with some of the Patreon supporters. So hey, get involved. We'd love to see you, love to chat with you, love to hear more about your palate and what you think about whiskey too. Hey, cheers! May you live richly and get better with age, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.